All right, round one is in the books, and that was a lot of chaos that happened on the hallowed grounds of SW19. Upsets galore. The two biggest names who probably fell in round one were Sasha Zverev and Coco Gauff. But I'm going to tell you why those aren't necessarily surprising. And we're going to break down all the other results in round one on the men's and women's. Look at how the draws changed after just the first round, because it is pretty significant. And yeah, we're going to get into it. Lots of matches. Arthur Rinderknech winning. Imagine losing to a guy that looks like that. Zverev did. So we're going to get into it. This is the slice presented by Betway. Let's go. All right, welcome back to The Slice. Thanks for being here. If you're new, smash the subscribe button so you don't miss our coverage for the rest of Wimbledon. Also, check on our Instagram for daily updates. My Twitter, you can find me on Twitter at Stephen Boughton, or X as they call it now. And appreciate you being here. And if you're going to play and bet the game responsibly, use Betway, because that's where I go to check all of our odds for who's going to win the matches. And they're a huge supporter of our show. So shout out to them. Big losses, though. That's, I would say, the story of round one is upsets. There's always a lot of upsets, so I feel like this is a rinse and repeat kind of schedule for Wimbledon. But in general, like I said, some of the biggest names that went down were big, but not necessarily surprising. I would say maybe the most surprising that I've seen is Daniil Medvedev in round one going down. But as JP and I talked about on the podcast, which you should go watch, that is also, maybe a sign of the times. He hasn't looked great for a little bit now. So as one of my favorite players out there, I hope that he can get his form back. But Sasha Zverev losing and Coco Gauff losing isn't necessarily surprising. And I alluded to that. If you look at her stats, both Coco Gauff and Alexander Zverev have never made the quarterfinals at Wimbledon. They've always lost or the fourth round or earlier. And for Coco, she's lost in 2 of the last 3 years. She's lost in the first round now. And yeah, Sasha usually makes it further than the first round. This is his first round loss since 2019. But again, he's never made it past the fourth round. So I would say grass is both of their worst surfaces. So upsets come in grass because some players aren't great on it. A lot of players don't. Most players don't have a ton of experience. So it's a little bit more of a wild card. So I'm going to chalk both of those losses up to that. Zverev losing to Rinderknech, who is, a French, powerful, kind of awkward showman player. And yeah, that's just what happens when you're Zverev. You're not comfortable moving on the surface like other surfaces. I would say probably the same as for Coco. And with Zverev's game style, hanging back, letting the opponent play to you when the opponent has a good day, and you're just staying back there, relying on your ground stroke ability and your serve. That the courts are not super fast at Wimbledon anymore. Yeah, it's just not a winning formula, really. Day in, day out at the championships. So Zverev out, Coco Gauff out, Medvedev out, Holger Rune, Berrettini, Musetti. That's actually maybe above Medvedev. Musetti might be the most surprising there, although I do not believe he had any real. He hasn't played since the French Open, so there's definitely going to be some storyline there. He loses to Basilashvili, who used to be a top player, and Musetti probably clearly not right physically. I don't know why he actually didn't play since Roland Garros, but maybe if any of you know, you can let me know down in the comment section below. The Italian fans can do that. Sorry, I don't really have an update on that, but yeah, Musetti out. That's also super surprising. So let's throw up the results from today onto our screen here. On center court, we'll look at that first. Krejcikova beat Alex Iala, who on our podcast, we talk about her, the Iala Hour. That was a great match for Iala. The last two sets went pretty quick, but she won the first set, played against the defending women's champion. And yeah, that's pretty impressive showing for her, I would say. Then Zverev loses to Rinderknech, which we just talked about. And yeah, wins 2 tiebreak sets, but isn't able to play the type of tennis needed to get through that one. And yeah, he's going to feel disappointed about that. He both of them had a ton of winners, and this is Wimbledon, so you're going to have more winners than ever. 79 winners for Rinderknech, 71 for Zverev. Both of them had good ratios there, but Rinderknech wins the serving battle. 79% first serve points won, 71% first serves in, 64% on a second serve. So he was the better returner. And when he came to net 55 times, he won 44% of those. That's a 80% clip, very high. Zverev, 0 for 9 break points. So he talked about, after, I saw some quotes from him about feeling essentially numb, potentially depressed out there in life. I think he hasn't really been the same since that Australian Open loss to Sinner in the final. That's, he gets heckled after the final there, and he hasn't felt the same since. Said he might see a therapist. I don't know. Some people are happy to see him struggle. I'm personally not. I don't like to see anyone struggle. So yeah, that's where he's at. But again, he's never had good results at Wimbledon beyond the fourth round. So that is that. Before we forget, happy Canada Day. The reason I'm wearing all red and I got the little Canada flag here, it's Canada Day in Canada. So we're going to get to the Canadians. Maybe we should just do that right now. In general, the Canadians, I believe we had 6 players in the singles. 2 of them are out. Carson Branstein to Sabalenka, not surprising. Denis Shapovalov today to Mario Navone, which I would say that's a bad loss for Denis, because Denis's favorite surface is grass. Mario Navone, I believe, has only won 1 set on the surface in his career before today. So again, it looked like Mario Navone beat Felix Auger-Aliassime. There seems to be this weird trend of players who can beat the Canadian guys, seem to play their best tennis of their career against them. And Chapo didn't look. I didn't see the whole match. I came in halfway through, essentially, when I woke up. But yeah, that's going to be a painful one for Chapo to go out in round 1 of Wimbledon, because he loves playing here, and building on the early success in his season, he hasn't really been able to compound that after that initial couple months of the season after Dallas. He's had okay results here and there, but in general, kind of just coasting along at that level. So he's searching for traction for sure, and that's a tough loss at Wimbledon. No holds about it. But Felix Auger-Aliassime finds a way through in a tough match, and a 5-setter, comes back from 2-1 down. Victoria Mboko, the 18-year-old lucky loser, beats Maria Frech. That should be on our list here. The 25 seed, so that's her highest win ever. That's a big time win for our girl. She's into the second round. And Gabriel Diallo, we call him Dolo, he's into the second round, with a crushing victory over Daniel Altmaier. So pretty good. 4-6, move on to the Leylah Fernandez as well through. Sorry, I forgot about her. To the second round. So 4 out of 6 through. Decent, I would say. Decent for the Canadians. Happy Canada Day to all the fellow Canucks. Back up to the results. Djokovic takes out Mueller in 4 sets, drops a set, tiebreak, second set. That's what happens in grass. It can go either way. Mueller is a gamer. He's a slick player. He's had some good results this year, and he's a pro. So not super concerning, I wouldn't say, for Djokovic, but that's 3 hours and 19 on court. So keep an eye on his time on court and he did take a medical timeout, I believe, after the second set. But seemed to be okay. 6-2, 6-2. Keep an eye on the time on court going forward for him. Conversely, Sinner wins 6-4, 6-3, 6-0 in an hour and 48 minutes over his countryman Luca Nardi. So that's a super solid start for Sinner. No questions asked there, I wouldn't say. But then Taylor Fritz gets it done against Impesci Perry-Card. Now, JP and I talked about this on the podcast, and we were saying that the curfew rule is dumb in Wimbledon, and I guess I could walk that back a little bit. I don't think it's necessarily dumb, but I think the application of it in that scenario with Fritz and Pesci Perry-Card was dumb, because they stopped playing with about 40 minutes before the curfew because it was a set break, and I guess that's the protocol. They come out and they ask both players if they want to keep playing. If either one objects, then they don't play the 5th set. But for Fritz, he had just won 2 sets. In Pesci Perry-Card, he just lost 2 sets. I don't understand how, for the ticket holders, the rights holders, everyone, that you don't play until the whistle blows, no matter what. Because for Taylor Fritz, won he won the 5th set the next day, obviously this could change, but he likely would have had more momentum the night before. So sorry, I just got to pull up this view recap. I don't know if they don't show how long it took, but that 6-4 set, I don't think would have taken much more than the time they needed to get it done. So I think the problem with that curfew rule is, like, I don't think players should be playing till 2 a.m. That's fine, but they should play till 11 o'clock. If the curfew is 11, they should play till 11 no matter what the score is. If there's 2 points left to come back the next day, in a way I think that's better, but that's my main frustration with it. But I get all the reasons that there is a curfew, and I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. That's for sure. All right. So as Fritz gets through, that's pretty gangster. Comes from 2 sets to love down for, I believe, the 4th time in his career. Emma Navarro threw over Kvitova 6-3, 6-1, 1 hour. Draper threw 6-2, 6-2, 2-1. Baez bows out. That was never going to be a problem, I think. Hour and 14 on court. So he's a guy that I'm going to be tracking as a real contender here at this tournament, because I think he is. Coco Gauff goes down to Yastremska. If we look at the recap here on the stats, let's see what we see. First serve in, 45% for Coco. She couldn't get it in. When she did, she won 70%, which is good. But on the second serve, only 44%. She got broken 4 times. Yastremska just, much better power, more comfortable out there, and gets the win over Coco Gauff, the French Open champion, recent French Open champion. But Yastremska, also only 25 years old, had lost their previous 3 meetings, all pretty recently. So yeah, Yastremska, a big win there over Coco Gauff. Swiatek threw Jess Pegula. I didn't even see this before. She also lost. So bad day for the American women. Coco Gauff and Pegula lose. Pegula loses pretty, candidly, I would say 6-2, 6-3. And first serve points won 65%. Not going to be good enough. 24 on forced errors to only 5 winners. Looks like a bad day at the office for Jessie Pegula, I would say. Tommy Paul through, Shelton through, Swiatek through, Musetti out, like we already talked about. The Dimitrov through, Dan Evans through in straights. Gael Monfils beats Humbert, 5 sets. What do you know? Gael Monfils just cannot be stopped. He's the ageless wonder. Jakub Mensik threw over Hugo Gaston. Goffin. I was another best bet of the day for me during the podcast goes flat, because I thought Goffin would be over Rinky Hijikata, but an hour and 16 minutes, 6-3, 6-1, 6-1, he goes out. So I don't know what happened there, but that doesn't seem right to me. But it is what it is. There's a lot of matches here. This is what I was looking for. Victoria Mboko over Maria Frech. 6-3, 6-2 in an hour and 13 minutes. You love to see it if you are a Canadian. So let's go to the draws and look at the second round matchups, because those are important. We got it on the screen. Sinner versus Vukic. I'm predicting Sinner, believe it or not. We got Martinez versus Navone. We won't have that Shapovalov Sinner matchup that I was hoping for, but we're going to have Sinner either playing Martinez or Navone if he can get through Vukic. And then Dimitrov will play Mute, which is going to be a beautiful tennis match. Tommy Paul versus Sebastian Offner. Ben Shelton versus Rinky Hijikata. Martin Fucsovics versus Gael Monfils. That's a physical masterpiece. Both guys playing 5-setters, winning 5-setters in the first round. I guess Nakashima and Bu did not finish, but Riley Opelka is through. Basilashvili to play Sonego instead of Musetti. So yeah, that, and this is all the top half, which happened today. Draper through to play Cilic. That's a tough match for Draper. That's like I said, previous finalist at Wimbledon. 2017, Federer lost with blisters, was crying. Tough one for Cilic. Maybe he's looking for some revenge. Marijan versus Munar. Kaboli through versus Zukhaev to play Pennington Jones, who's a wild card, who gets a win over Echeverry. So that's awesome for Pennington Jones. Marcus Giron versus Jakub Mensik. Demonauer versus Kazo. Mahac versus Holmgren, and who is a qualifier over Halle. So that's great for him. You love to see a qualifier getting to the second round. Kecmanovic versus De Jong, who took out Chris Eubanks. Kecmanovic took out Mickelson, so Mickelson does not like the grass either, but that was a fifth set tiebreaker. And then Dan Evans to play Novak Djokovic. Djokovic fans, look at me. Dan Evans versus Novak Djokovic that's a serious match, because if Dan Evans can feel physically well, he's crafty. He's beaten Djokovic before on clay, believe it or not. I believe at Monte Carlo. So yeah, that's an interesting match if you're a Djokovic fan, for sure. Bottom half, we already saw this a little bit, but Fritz versus Gabriel Diallo. I think that's a tough match for Fritz. If you ask me, Gabe Diallo's won much more easily in his first round, and he's not shell-shocked by playing big players anymore. He's a big-time player himself, and that's going to be a tough match for Fritz. Won't be as big of a server, though, but that'll be an interesting one. Van de Zandschulp, Fokina, Ferry, who's a wild card, beats Popperin, who is out of sorts as well. Hasn't done anything since winning the National Bank Open last year, which is almost a year ago now. Arthur Ferry threw over to play Darderi. Thompson versus Bonzi, who beat Medvedev. Burgess, who beat Sarundolo, another upset, versus Harris. Mochizuki versus, who's a qualifier. You'd love to see that. Shintaro Mochizuki, friend of the show for JP. That is awesome, to play Khachanov. Mazurak. I just got that. He'll play Ethan Quinn, who's through. Christian Garin to play Rinderknech. Nicholas Jerry to play Lerner Tien. Fonseca versus Brooksby. That's an amazing second round matchup. You love to see that. Joao Fonseca versus Jensen Brooksby. That's high talent level. Lehechka, Bellucci, Nori, TFO. That's nice. Rublev, Harris, Manarino, Royer. Felix Auger-Aliassime versus Jan-Lennard Struff. That's a tough one for Felix. You'd love to see him get through there to have a chance versus Alcaraz. And Tarve versus Alcaraz. So that's the men's full draw there. And if you look at it, the bottom half, the Alcaraz half, completely opened up with the seed. So it looks like Fritz Alcaraz would be the projected semifinal on the bottom now, with Zverev going out. But Zverev was on the top. But so I think Fritz, or was he on the top? No, he wasn't. He was on the bottom. He played today because, Zverev was on the bottom. So yeah, Fritz Alcaraz would be the projected semifinal on the bottom there, which would be a great semifinal if Fritz can make it there. But big time carnage on the bottom half there for the men. And for the women, I don't think there's much less carnage. Let's run through this. It is on the stage now. Second round, Sabalenka versus Bukova, great match. Raducanu versus Vondrousova, amazing match. So that little section there is unreal. Mertens versus Lee, Sasnovich versus Svitolina. Katie Bolter, who beat Badosa, to play Sierra. Vekic through to play Buxa. Leylah Fernandez to play Laura Sigmund. Winner of that will play the winner of Danilovic versus Madison Keys, who is through. Jasmine Paolini did figure it out over Sevastova and will play Rakimova. Eva Lise through to play Noskova, the 30th seed. Haddad Maya gets a win. She'll play Galfi next. Zara Zua to play Anisimova, who double baggled Putintseva. Maybe Putintseva just had her feelings hurt from Maria Sakkari in Berlin. Who knows? Schneider versus Perry. Tomova versus Kartal. Kruger versus Pavlyuchenkova. Osaka versus Siniakova. Osaka's through. And Siniakova beat Qinwen Zheng. How did I not see that as well? This is a carnage first round for Wimbledon. I didn't even see Qinwen Zheng go down. That's big time, though. So Qinwen Zheng is also out. Now we go back to the bottom half. Andreeva versus Bronzetti. Haley Baptiste versus Victoria Mboko, our lucky loser Canadian. Beats Freck through to the second round. Big time for her. She'll continue to climb the rankings quick. Krejcikova versus Dolehide. Kudermetova versus Navarro. Wang versus Sonmez. Lamens versus Alexandrova. Jacquemont, the qualifier who beats Lynette, she'll play Bencic, unseeded, 6-0, 6-3 though. Look for Bencic to win that, and then won't play Jess Pegula. So a window there is open for the mother Bencic to come through. Swiatek's through to play Katie McNally. Danielle Collins through. Osario to play Erzsébet, who beat Kostyuk, who's out. Clara Tauson through to play Kalinskaya. Maria Sakkari through 6-4, 6-4 to play Rybakina, who beat Evanescen 6-2, 6-1. Kasatkina to play Begu. I can't say this one. I just can't do it. Starodubsteva to play Samsonova. And Cannon to play Buzaz Manero. And Coco Gauff being out leaves this bottom half as well. Yastremska versus Zakharova, who beat Azarenka, to play there. The bottom half on both draws completely wide open. Carnage on both. So many matches to get through. That's round one. Now the draw is now cut in half. Round two starts tomorrow. I'm excited for it. That was just a lot to get through. The carnage is awesome. You love to see it. The top contenders for me are still in. Sinner, Alcaraz, Djokovic on the men, Sabalenka on the women. And yeah, Coco Gauff, Zverev, they'd be sad to lose, of course, but neither of them have gotten past the fourth round. So not the most surprising. Their least favorite surface. That's the slice on the first round of Wimbledon 2025. Thanks for being here. Thanks for subscribing. Stay tuned to our Instagram and our X. We will see you there. We've got some big announcements coming up. So thanks for being around our content. We will see you next time on the show.